Welcome to Grow As We Grow. This is a Perk membership video series. Members on my YouTube channel that are Perk members get to send in video questions, videos of their garden, and I put them together in this series, Grow As We Grow. Grow As We Grow is certainly about growing like we do in each of our gardens, in each of our zones, but it's also about growing as we grow as gardeners. I've been in this space. This is the 5th season, going on 6 years really. It started out looking like this, and pretty quickly, but year to year, I added to it. The garden that you see right here is my no-dig garden. That was added last. I'm always adding little pieces to it. And the first video that has been sent in is from CeCe. She shows off in the beginning the wonderful growth that she had this year. She has a smaller space, but she also does a montage of over the last 9 years, how her garden grew, how her skills grew, and I just think it's wonderful to, see a garden over a 9-year period. And it really sums up how we personally grow and how we build our gardens.
Hi everybody, it's CeCe in Nebraska. Just going to give you a quick update on my garden as we stand in the middle of September. Basil, as you can see, is pretty much flowering. Some have gone to seed, and I've got some volunteers popping up in some of the other beds close by. Flowers are still going strong. Want to show you my blackberries. I've probably taken off about a dozen. Unfortunately, none of them have ripened at the same time, but they're still going. Blueberry plants still in pouches. Potatoes long harvested. Sunflowers still trying. Squirrels still eating them. Cucumbers have seen better days, but I've got a few still on there. It's still producing. A couple of pepper plants underneath the canopy that are doing well. These are my conch peas. These are a southern field pea. They're little tiny cream peas, crowder peas, semi-crowder peas. I've picked about 30 pods, which gave me roughly 2 ounces. Hopefully more will come. Sweet potatoes harvested, had a nice little haul out of there, and the melons are slowly coming out. And over here my scallop squash has been pulled, tomatillas have been pulled. I have some little radishes starting to pop up there, and hopefully on the backside we'll get some bok choy. The reason I'm bringing you over here though is to show you how my tomato plants generally look at the end of the season. Pretty well scalped on the bottom, and then a canopy at the top. If you recall, I put a fencing piece up there to help single vine them, trellis, and they have grown through it. So the question is, what do I do now? I'm going to have to get a ladder to get any tomatoes off the top. But the main thing that I wanted to show you today was I had some really nice compliments on my backyard in the first video I showed, but I need to take you back 9, almost 10 years ago.
Tell me what you find when you find it. Will it be worth the wait? Look in the corners of your mind and unwind it. Leave all the rest to fate. 'Cause you threw out the map long ago now, didn't you? It's uncharted land from here. And you always liked it like that now, didn't you? It's better when things are unclear. 'Cause now it's your discovery. The rest is your discovery. Now it's your discovery. The rest is your discovery. Discover it for me. Tell me where the great river takes you. Show me where the tree line ends. Discovery town with no one around. Fly all around the world with a friend. Oh, 'cause you that's your discovery. The rest is your discovery.
So what am I trying to say? Trying to say that each year over the last 10 years I did something. Sometimes small, sometimes a little bigger. And it's not perfect. It's so far from perfect. But it's better. And every year it gets a little better and a little better. So I think what I'm trying to say is, if an old lady like me can do this, so can you.
Thank you so much, CeCe. This is my no-dig garden. Most recent garden to size added to the area that I grow in. I've added in like different structures, a couple different raised beds, but this is one of the bigger spaces. It's a no-dig garden, and if you have the ability to make tons of compost, a no-dig garden is wonderful because you really are just putting down 6 inches of compost. That's what you're going to grow in. You cover over everything, and every year you add more compost. Compost is certainly king or queen. If you have the space, the resources, and make tons of it, no-dig is a great way to go. But I don't want this to be something people think they must do. There are so many different ways to garden. Let's take a look at Nina's garden. She's sent in a couple of submissions, so you really get to see, you know, true to the meaning of the series, how her garden's been doing over the months. She's going to show off a couple of harvests, give us updates on a container, and things are just growing and producing really nicely. And she's growing really predominantly in containers.
Hi, welcome back to my garden. I'm Nina. I am in Colorado, Zone 5B. Now we're over by my main garden. You can see I might as well just show you before I harvest some things. You can see my tomatoes are finally ripening, and I have a zillion of them. This one here, you can see I have my harvesting items. This one here is a Golden Jubilee. It's getting pretty big. I have a ton of Roma tomatoes. Oh, look at how much that one's ripening. That's nice. Roma's on this plant. And then this is my Rapunzel tomato, which just, the tomatoes look so beautiful on it right now. I love the cascade of colors as they ripen. It's just beautiful. But yeah, this plant looks great. So I'm going to come over here and just show you some of my other plants here. This is a mocha swirl. You can see that the peppers are probably finally changing the right color. And there are actually a bunch of them on here. And then we'll move over here. I listened to Gary and put more water soluble on this habanero plant, and it did get bigger, and there's a lot of little buds. I don't know if I have enough summer left for them to make habaneros, but we shall see. But what I'm going to do right now is I have a ton of serranos on this plant, so I'm going to harvest them and put them in this bowl here, and we'll see how many serranos I get off this one plant. Okay, so I'm done harvesting, and you can see I got a ton of serranos just from that one plant. It actually still has some hanging on it, if you see there. But it just goes to show you can get a lot off of one plant. I'm going to make some salsa, I'm going to make guacamole, and I'm also going to try to just preserve the serranos by themselves and see if I can use them that way. I was going to show you I have this trellis with my honeydew plant growing. Look at that! Sorry. It's the first time I'm noticing. There's actually a baby honeydew right there. Again, we'll see how much my first frost date is the end of October, or mid-late October, so we'll see how big that guy gets, but how cute. I'm so excited to have my first honeydew on there. And it is still growing up this trellis and looking beautiful. Okay, and I'm just going to show you a few quick other plants here. This is my sugar cube cantaloupe. It has a nice baby cantaloupe forming here. It's still fuzzy and cute. I'm going to do my method to tie it up to this trellis with a nylon soon, but I'm just so excited to see a cantaloupe. I haven't ever been able to grow cantaloupes before, so it's the first year for that. Okay, and then just briefly, I'm going to do a little more harvesting. I just wanted to show you there is a whole bell pepper right under here, and it is just beautiful. It has grown wonderfully, And yeah, I'm gonna harvest that just momentarily. Harvested that bell pepper, and now we have a bunch of serranos and a bell pepper in our harvest here. And I'm gonna harvest some tomatoes too. Okay, and I have this tiny tin tomato plant that I put in here that just has a zillion tomatoes on it. So I'm gonna harvest these. Let's see how many I can get off of this guy. Okay. Alright, so this is now that I have harvested the tomatoes as well. You can see how many I got just from that one area. It's kind of crazy. There's still a decent amount on the plant actually, but I probably need more than that for today. So my basket is just beautiful. I'm going to harvest one last item, which is this cucumber right here. You can see that something must have gone wrong with the pollination because the tip is a little bit strange, but this part here will still be delicious and I can't wait to use it, so I'm going to harvest that real quick. Okay, so I harvested that cucumber and I just have my full harvest for today ready to go, and it is just a beautiful bowl of produce, honestly. Happy gardening, everyone.
So much, Nina. My main garden, this is what I started building about 5 seasons ago. Always adding in, always putting in different beds, different structures, moving stuff around. Starting to make changes right in this space. This is my fabric pot garden. Opening it up more, removing things that I really just had sitting there, I really wasn't growing in. One of the strategies when you have a garden is to not have more space than you can use. Plants look beautiful when you're tiny and you're putting them out, but they're going to grow, they're going to take up space, and they're going to require more work. So you certainly don't want to overbuild your gardens to start. Start slow, slowly add beds. Let's take a look at Eli's garden. This is her first garden, so cheers to that. I think it's wonderful when people get to start their first garden. She's going to show off different things that she's growing. There's a chef's choice variety of tomato. They come in different colors. I highly recommend them. And she gives some really good advice with respect to tomatoes, which over the years I've come to really talk more about in my videos and really agree with. Just let it grow, prune it for airflow. Don't over worry about taking pruning so seriously that it has to be perfect. Her garden was under attack. Even being under attack, she still got produce, and I think that's, you know, a good advice. We're not going to be able to manage down pests and disease 100%. We may have problems, but we're still going to get production out of our gardens.
I'm Eli, and this is my first garden. The first variety of tomato I've been growing is the Chef's Choice Orange, which has some ripe fruits coming over here. I'm going to pull that one off today. And this has grown ridiculously fast. I've been single stemming. We start down here and it just sweeps around in this long vining S-curve all the way up to the top where I have the tomato hooks, where I slowly lower it down as it gets past there. Now that we're towards the end of the season, I'm just kind of letting it do what it wants. I'm not fussing as much over single stem growing. I think that's a lesson learned with this one is I don't need a single stem plant. Just letting it grow and keeping it pruned for airflow is probably just fine. The second variety I've been growing is the Super Sauce, which gets absolutely enormous. This larger fruits are basically the size of a small child. This is a smaller one, about ready to come off. They turn more red, but I usually pick them and bring them inside. Lessons learned with this one, tomatoes do what they want, and varieties grow different ways. This one I sort of tried single stemming, and it just, I don't know what it did. It just went and did its own thing and didn't really care what I wanted it to do, which worked out fine. Here are my peppers. This is where I've learned that you can't always win the battle against snails. I have used so much bait and snail killer, and they're just everywhere. They're all over everything in the yard. But at the same time, between all the snail-eaten leaves, we're still getting peppers. So even if you're under attack, you can still get fruit. Here's my cucumbers. This is another lesson learned. This is the one that I had that was not in a cloth pot. This pot used to have a tree from an office lobby, and the cucumbers did okay, but I really think they could have done better with more drainage. So what I'm gonna do, since I'm pretty much done with the cucumbers anyway, is rip them out, put more holes in the pot, adjust the soil, maybe add some more peat, see if it needs a little loosening up, and I'm gonna start some broccolini in the fall. This here has been one of my favorite discoveries. It's called the ground cherry, and never heard of it before, and now I'm getting a real fun fruit. And harvesting this, it's like an Easter egg hunt. You dig through the grass and you find them tucked in. I think I saw one just back. Yeah, here it is. Just fun little Easter egg harvesting. This is my very first compost bin. You can see we're doing grilling today, so I have a bunch of corn husks to add into it, and let's see how it's looking. So this I only started a few weeks ago, and it's doing pretty good. It looks like it definitely needs some water because it's in a sunny spot, but it's progressing well. I mean, there is something growing in it. We'll turn that in and that'll compost with it, I guess. Yeah. There we go, corn husks in, and time to stir. So you can see, starting to get some good stuff down in the bottom. This is all mixed up. I'll even it out when we're done here. Look, that looks like compost, and there's weird critters in it. Now, every time I hear a video about how compost smells good, I wonder, how is that possible? It's rotting. Why does it smell good? That's, you know, are they just saying that because they like compost? It actually smells like petrichor, like the earth after the rain. It really smells good, which is weird, but cool. Back again a few days later, I have finally planted up the broccolini. I was right. The pot did not have enough holes, and they were much smaller than I remembered. So I drilled a couple big ones and put up some shade cloth because it is sweltering hot still, and planted me some broccolini. So let's see how they grow. Thank you for coming along with me on my first garden journey. I have had so much fun this year. I already have notebooks set up, planning for next year, and I look forward to sharing that as well.
Thank you, Eli. I hope you stick with us through your second season of gardening. I hope everybody sticks around. Every year I continue to learn, my garden changes a little bit. We are truly into the fall garden here in Maryland. Over the last 10 days, we've been getting 50-degree nights. Last night it was in the 40s, and if you look right up there, you see my maple turning red, orange, red, changing colors. It's absolutely beautiful. One of my favorite times of the season is now, just because of that tree. As the cold nights come, your cool weather crops are going to pretty much finish up. The root systems get too cool in the soil, leaves start dropping and changing, just like that maple tree that you saw. I still have pumpkins, I still have corn, I still have tomatoes, lots of stuff to really do something with. I'm going to have lots of green fried tomatoes. I'm going to start pickling some of the green tomatoes. You can pickle them, they're delicious. Let's take a look at Stacy's garden. She's sent in several videos. Today's video is really about using a dehydrator, which I thought was fascinating. Like the dehydrator she has, I'm going to look for something like that. And she's going to show us how to make onion powder.
Hi, I'm CeCe, the Urban Chicken Mama. Welcome back to the Rooted Heart Garden. As fall fast approaches, I start to think about what I can do to extend my harvest and to preserve my fresh ingredients so I can enjoy them year round. Let me show you one of the things I like to do. Oh, and I'd be honored if you stop by my channel for a visit when you have a minute. Let's make some onion powder. Simply pull them out. These beautiful green onions were never meant to get big forming heads like their counterparts. They were always meant to be green onions. You want to harvest them before they flower unless you're trying to get more seeds, and then let that one go and harvest the seeds so you can grow more onions next year. Rinse everything off so you get all the debris off the ends, all the bad pieces off. All you have is the beautiful greens left. Then chop them into basically bite-sized even pieces. Put them on your dehydrator trays in an even, as best you can, single layer. Once you have filled your dehydrator or the amount of trays you wish to dehydrate, then it's time to get them processing. What I like to do is have the smaller hole trays at the bottom so they will catch any of the onions that fall through the bigger holes in my dehydrator trays. I don't have only but 2 of these smaller hole ones, so at the bottom is a great way to catch anything. So what I like to do is process them at a lower temperature because I feel like a lower temperature will preserve the flavor better, and you'll have a better outcome because these are going to be sitting for probably a year in your spice rack. So 7 to 9 hours at around 100 degrees. My dehydrator does 95 or 105, so I'm going to opt for the lower temperature, and then I will just check on them. Once they are thoroughly dried, you want to make sure they're crispy, similar to a potato chip, I guess, but not all the grease. So you just want to make sure they are thoroughly dried and crispy enough so that you can process them in the next stage. So if your dehydrator, they're all different, you just want to, check it and make sure that it's where it needs to be. So now let's check and see if after the 9 hours is done, if they are, yep, see, they're crispy. Yes, for the most part, they're crispy. So the big guys, the centers, they're not quite. The outer layers are, so I'm gonna run it for a little bit longer. I don't know how to explain it to you other than they're not crispy like a potato chip, where these guys, the outer ones, are. So I'm gonna run it for another 2 hours and see how it goes. All right, a couple hours have passed again, and let's see here. Oh yeah, crisp, there's no give, they're nice and firm, so perfect. Time to take these, bad boys in the house and get them processed. All right, it's time to process the onions. They are nice and thoroughly dried. You want to make sure they are crispy and thoroughly dry, otherwise you may get anti-caking, which happens because there's excess moisture. So if you're worried about that, you could add some uncooked rice to your container, and that will help with the anti-caking. So all I'm going to do now is put the onions in this little handy dandy Mr. Coffee, which will grind them up very fine for me. And then add it to the funnel, into the onion jar. I'm just using an old one I already had, and that is it. And you have successfully stored, got onions ready to store for all winter long, fresh from your garden. So much better than anything you can get at the grocery store. Delicious. Look at that. Absolutely perfect. Make it a great day.
Thanks, Stacy. I really like that dehydrator. I think I'm going to get one over the winter, and it will really help me take care of a lot of what I'm producing in here. I can even see drying tomatoes and pulverizing them and maybe make something that I can just make tomato soup from, like dehydrated tomatoes. I have a lot still in the garden as cool weather or as warm weather crops. With the dropping temperatures, it's really time to let them go. There's not a whole lot you can do to save them. Just real quick, I wanted to show you the tomato plant here seeded itself. It's doing amazingly well. You know, a lot of times we might overcare for or just put extra labor into growing transplants, amending the soil. Just remember, nature's been growing for millions, well, billions of years, so they know what to do. They have a plant right down here. That's an arugula plant, seeded itself. It's delicious. I've been eating from it, growing with no care, no extra watering, no fertilizing. So plants know what to do. We don't have to really overcomplicate it. There's a bunch of tomatoes that I've picked that will be going inside shortly. You can let them ripen on your windowsill. Again, you can make pickled green tomatoes or fried green tomatoes. I am clearing out my beds. Just did a video, left the roots of the tomato plants in the ground, just layered in soil. As I get older, I look for easier ways to do things. Shortcuts for my time, but not shortcuts for taking care of the garden plants. Again, we can reduce our workload, but still give wonderful care to our gardens, and the plants are really going to thrive. Let's take a look at the last video. This is from Nikki. She's got a little nursery set up. She's growing fruit trees in pots. I have an orchard, maybe, I don't know, 14 trees now. You can find a lot at nurseries, Home Depot, Lowe's, or, you know, more specific nurseries. You can get smaller trees. You can let them grow. You can let them develop, and then you can get them out into your garden. And it's really a good idea to buy plants when they're smaller, saves you a little bit money, take care of them in pots, get them out into your garden. She also does a wonderful job using shade cloth and managing the temperatures that are in her garden.
Okay, welcome to Nikki's Garden of Eden. And let's begin with, this is the area where I grow my flowers to attract the beneficial insects. And over here to the, this is my fruit tree nursery. I'm growing all my fruit trees right there. They're all, they were all purchased this year, so this is my first year growing them. This is my compost bin, and this is where I keep my favorite flowers, my lilies, calla lilies, oriental lilies. Okay, so this structure says 16 by 10 structure. We created this, attached it to the deck, and it has a shade cloth. And then over here I've been cleaning out most of my summer plants, adding my fall and winter. These are my eggplants. We have some beans and these are my different types of winter squash growing over here. Watermelon, which wasn't successful. I didn't use enough dirt, but it was a lesson learned. Yeah, and these are some peppers, hot and bell peppers. Yeah, so these are my carrots and my asparagus, which I'll be transplanting those out there. Asparagus are 2 years old now. These were where my grape tomatoes were growing. I had those on this. Yeah, those are really good. And these little buckets right here, I'm going to use those also to attract the insects into the area. Oh, and this side is where the sun rises on this side. Okay, so right here is where my water barrel is. We just created this yesterday. I have been collecting water and tubs, Rubbermaid tubs, and decided to do something more efficient. And this is my deck, which we turned into a greenhouse. It's complete with hardware cloth, and then we had a polyurethane plastic on it. Right now we have the shade cloth on the top, but we have the roof and the back, which we put up on the top when we insulate it for the winter. You know, some of these are more things that I'm growing, and this is my strawberries, which I think I'm going to transplant those into another container as well. Okay, right here, this is my compost sifter, which we just built this, and it's a big help. No more stiff hands. Okay, and this is my nursery for the summer and fall. Okay, and then over here we built another structure over on this side. This is a 12 by 10 along with another water barrel. And over here I experimented with growing corn. Lesson learned. And this is my horseradishes and my beets. Almost succession plants of beets and my potatoes. And we have a shade cloth up here as well. You see this is the side where the sun sets. So my biggest challenge or my goal for 2023 is actually learning to properly place my to place the plants, my vegetables, and where to using the right amount of dirt in container size, and utilizing these pots, utilizing the pots for to attract the necessary insects. Oh yeah, and this is trying this out. I put garbage bags around the grow bags to kind of keep some of the water in, and then I can let them out as needed. Okay, thank you.
Nikki, I think you gave people a lot of ideas, cool ideas that they can use in your garden. And that's what I really like about this series. You know, my garden, you see a lot of the same things, and hopefully it's of value. But by looking at other people's gardens, you can find all kinds of different ideas, from trellising to, you know, taking care of the soil, growing in containers, what you might do with fruit trees, all kinds of different things. And I really encourage people that are Perk members to send in a video question or take a short video of your garden, and we'll integrate it into here. The video should be about 5 minutes, but certainly just a 1 minute quick video is perfect. As we walk around, you certainly see, like I was saying, all the warm weather crops. I am really loading up my containers, different places in the garden with cool weather crops. Some of my favorite things to grow are leaf lettuces. I love when frost gets on them. Frost won't damage them. The leaves can freeze, the leaves can thaw. But I'm back to having my energy. I've been talking about this, that I get burned out from July 15th to August 15th when the heat comes. But now the cool weather's rolling in. Again, it was like 48 degrees last night. We could even have a fire in our house. We're using the fire pit. I am taking everywhere where you see tomatoes, slowly transitioning over. This will be the next bed that I'm working on. I've got the compost down. These tomatoes will be cut just to the ground. Compost will be spread out, and I'll just let this sit for the winter. Come spring, I just drop in transplants. But I've opened up a lot of the space. Lots of seedlings are in. Lettuce that's being eaten by something. I've got some dust on there. I have radishes. I have bok choy, pak choy. And maybe we'll just finish walking down, and I'll show you just where I'm popping in different cool weather crops. Here's another bed. This was all of my basil. They're labeled pretty well. I'm doing these in different styles, different rows, so that when they fill out and come in, people can see how I was growing and they can use them as options in their garden. But I have bunching onions, mixed peas, turnips, spinach, butterhead, or a type of bib lettuce. I have carrots, all kinds of different things going in. Right in the space there in the framed wood is spinach. I'm going to be using that corrugated piece of polycarbonate to cover this. So I plan to be growing into, really I hope to grow into January. Really a second round of radishes are in. These are going to mature before the other ones that I just showed you. And I'm really transitioning over. You have plenty of time to get cool weather crops into the garden. Again, I'm in Maryland Zone 7. Experiment, get some out. Lettuces do really well. Radishes keep growing. Thanks so much for watching. I want to thank everybody who sent in videos for Grow As We Grow. Again, check out the Perk memberships. You can just find the join button on my YouTube channel. A little bit harder to find on a phone, easier to find on a desktop or a laptop. Thanks again for watching, and good luck in your gardens.